Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you for joining us on this truly terrific edition of Talk Today here on Tuesday. Hey, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-TALK. We'll start things off with some open line. 1 o'clock, our local author, Ms. El Kafir, will join us for a bit. Then 1:30. For those of you who are interested in how our young people and their mental health when it comes to how much time they spend in front of their screens, well, I got a chance to share with you. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back. 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255, or you can always WhatsApp 925-3261. It's open line. Let's start things off and having you share with us your thoughts. Yesterday was a very interesting day. I was honored, honestly, to be able to be not only in that wonderful building that is the Georgetown Town Hall, but to be amongst those great icons in our society as they shared with us, and they're indicative and representative of so many of the their contemporaries, the people who have through their service and sacrifice have not only in the past but they continue to this day to build our society. And we need to continue to show them that they're loved, valued, appreciated, that they're welcomed, that they can and should be still involved with all that's happening here. So as October rolls around and as we talk about celebrating our elderly in our society, whether it's our own aging parents, some of us, it may be that neighbor, maybe that person that isn't, family biologically, but, we've known them all our lives. Maybe take a few seconds, hours, and from here on in, show them that they're appreciated. And let's see what we can do. Think about it this way. What if we live to be, much older than we are now? Would we not want to be respected, valued, included, welcome, feel like we're still making a contribution, have a purpose? So if we give them that, perhaps that becomes the norm, and the way we treat, our elderly, the respect that we show them, the love and appreciation that we have for them, then age just becomes a number. Perhaps, think about your own situation. When you were in high school, you probably could run, faster than anybody else. Maybe you're still healthy, you're still fit and trim, but maybe you can't run as fast as your son now. Or even the guy in school who used to, always come second to you. Well, maybe he can beat you now. But still, it doesn't take you, long to do it. It just takes you a little bit longer. It is open line. We've got some calls in the queue. We're going to take names up, but we want to hear from you as we talk about other things, including the whole discussions that are unfolding with respect to the port. Some of you may have, been in attendance at some of the public meetings that members of the opposition are having and others. Hey, there was one last night. Maybe you tell us what you thought. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today. Hello. Good afternoon. All right, 1-800-534-8255. As soon as we can figure out how that works, we're going to go to the lines and join the callers. 949-8037. Or you can call us toll free, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hi, Dwayne. How you doing?
Very well. How about yourself?
Oh, Charles, I'm very thankful. Dwayne, I love that show that you did yesterday.
Thank you.
With the elderly.
Yes, ma'am.
And I find that, they made such valid points where, like people would say, well, we're going to take on a helper. You have a helper in the house. And, to do everything for your parents. But I think interaction is very important. Like, I can't remember which lady it was. I think it was Miss Enrique. She said that I think we should say some family member of hers likes to cook, and that would be what they would do. And if they enjoy doing that, don't treat them like, like they're handicapped, they're disabled, they can't do anything. You can help them out somewhat, but not to take away their identity as an independency from them, right? So, Dwayne, I'm actually in agreement with a lot of things that were said. Dwayne, we have to keep them actively involved, even if they can't do 5 days like how they used to, at least a couple of hours a day. And what I was thinking, like, you see our tourism product? I think I heard Mr. Cresswell or one of them mention this as well. Think about the new airport opening up. I think about down at the docks, like handing out flyers, maybe, how the Department of Tourism has like little booths, giving people a little direction or handing them out flyer, little booklets of what can be done. I just believe what Mr. Crosby also said that, if you're able to work, make them work, and then I mightn't be able to produce full 5 days because, they get a little tired, whatever, but it keeps them involved. It makes them feel important because if it wasn't for them, Dwayne, we wouldn't be here today. And you can't forget, who we are as a people and what they have done, their contribution to our country. So I've had a helper when my mom had, level 2, I guess, diabetes. Yeah, I think it's called level 2. And we had to have a helper there when we went to work, Dwayne, because sometimes she had like what you call a sugar seizure. She would just black out. So, in her absence, yes. But we always took her out. She was always with us. So we never, so I really believe that we need to make sure that is the best part of our life. We're on a journey, is our family, embrace them, because in the end, all we have is our memories. But anyway, I can leave you and let you go, but God bless you. Have a good day here.
Amen. Well, blessings to you as well, man. God will shine His face upon all of us. As the caller shared, those in attendance yesterday, those who were listening, perhaps something that struck me, so many salient points that were shared, is that many of us as the children or aging parents, we do willingly, lovingly, but seemingly unaware that all that, that we're doing for them, trying to make their lives comfortable and easy, that we're inadvertently taking away their independence. So perhaps, as the caller shared, if we're talking, about trying to make sure that our elderly in our communities, whether it's our parents or others, that they still maintain a sense of independence, that they still feel as if they're valued, that they're, able to make a contribution as and when they want, that we allow them to do things safely. Perhaps they need to go somewhere. Well, maybe we can drive them. Some of them we know have shared for different reasons that they no longer choose to drive. Quite honestly, if you listen to some of the, the wise counsel amongst, what they shared, is that the way that we drive on our roads now and the way that the roads seem to have become, it's probably not as safe. So maybe but if we're going to be driving them, let's make sure that we're even more attentive, because, precious cargo on board for sure. But they can still do things for themselves. Perhaps they take a little bit longer to, clean the house or rake the yard or, walk through the aisle to shop. Not only because maybe they take a little bit longer to move, but they're going to meet their, friends and people they know. They're going to stop and ask questions. Now, how do we show our respect and love for them and give them that sense of independence? Well, maybe a lot to happen. 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, you may want to discuss other issues. There are a number of things that were shared with us in relation to education. A few articles that, presumably have been in the press in the UK in particular about private schools and the whole issue about whether they have to teach inclusion, respect to alternative lifestyles and the like. But perhaps closer to home and more immediate is this ongoing public discussion with respect to the port. The meeting last evening in West Bay at the primary school hall, it was shared by Mr. Arden McLean, the former minister in the Ministry of Community Ministry of Works, that with respect to the port, yes, it's being said that potentially is a very, very expensive, maybe one of the largest capital projects of the country. But he's also posed the question, the acquisition of the new Cayman Airways planes, I believe he shared, for them at, as he said, an understanded cost of $90 million each. I think he said, 4 9s is 36, alluding to the fact that if, as he understands it, there are 4 planes being acquired and each cost $90 million, that's an outlay of 300, as he says, 4 9s is 36, 360 million. He was making a point that perhaps as a country, are we as informed of what our government is doing? As he says, as an elected member of the Legislative Assembly, he himself sometimes, together with his colleagues, don't feel as if they are giving timely information. And the question that I heard asked, this morning by another individual in a separate conversation, he said, but is that the mindset of governments today? When they get in, they don't always, share information as timely as some believe, should be shared. He asked the question, when those who were in power back then, did they share it? Did they willingly share it? Did they share it as timely as they're asking for it? And he asked that question to sort of suggest that if we're going to be embracing this whole new culture of sort of inclusion, this whole culture of access to information, as we celebrate 10 years of our freedom of information legislation, will we get to a point where our government puts information out in the public with respect to its projects, its costing and the like? But he also shared, and this is not Mr. McLean, but the fellow this morning who was sharing with me, he also shared that where are we as the consumers, as the voting public, to ensure that the government is forthcoming with information, that when information comes out, that we very critically, constructively, accurately and responsibly review the information to make sure that it is accurate. He says he recalls a time not long ago, a particular business proposal was to hand, and depending on the perspective that you took, it was a good proposal or it wasn't as good. But it was depending on how you looked at it. The same information before you, how do you interpret and analyze it? Well, we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us. It is open line until 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. El Kafir, if you haven't read any of her books, man, you want to get them on board. I think she has some, new ones coming out. There's a book fair coming up. Good time to chat with her. But that's 1 o'clock after news. And then 1:30, we had a chance to speak with Dr. Antonia Hawkins and Ms. Sutton Burke about our young people in mental health in this changing world and how much time they spend on their screens and the like. So I'm kind of excited to learn about that. But between now and then, we got other things to happen. So give us a call when we return for some open line. 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, you can send your thoughts via our WhatsApp 925-3261. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
The NCBO needs your help. Tune in to the annual radio telethon on Saturday, October 20th at 7 p.m. for the best in local entertainment, including C&B, Trinity, Little Magic, Roy Bodden, and High Tide. Call in to pledge any amount or donate online at CaymanGiftCertificates.com to be entered to win over $5,000 worth of prizes. The NCBO's annual radio telethon is broadcasted live from Prospect Playhouse on Radio Cayman and Cayman 27. The NCBO is one of Cayman's oldest charities dedicated to the care, education, and well-being of children and families in need of support. Tune in to Radio Cayman and please help us help our children. The annual Radio Telethon, Saturday, October 20th, 7 p.m. to midnight, live from Prospect Playhouse.
Did you know that the Department of Environmental Health operates a recycling program in the Cayman Islands? Recyclables such as number 1 and 2 plastics, tin and aluminum cans, cardboard, as well as glass and ceramic items are recycled on Grand Cayman by the DEH. Take these items to the recycling depots located at all Foster supermarkets, Kirk Market, and Hurley's Grand Harbor. Remember, keep the Cayman Islands clean, reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, please visit DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. It's open line 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon, Mom. Very well. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Sterling, as I drive this island from east to west and in the center of Georgetown, and just take a good overlook of the condition that this island is in. A lot of unfinished buildings. Some of the beach locations are so disgraceful. I just want to say that here we are talking about building a pier downtown Georgetown. Sterling, I just want to say I'm not against no pier, but I haven't heard anyone talking about an alternative. If it doesn't, go downtown Georgetown or where can we go if we want to build this pier? Where can we go, Sterling? I'm not really sure. I am not into the water lines and the corals and stuff, what's under there and how deep and so forth. You understand what the correct word is? For those type of people that can go there and come back and tell you everything about underwater.
What do you mean? Some would call them consultants, some would call them charlatans, snake oil sealers.
Yeah, consultants.
Depending on which one.
That one. Yes, for that one. But Sterling, seriously, our garbage is out of control. All kind of excuses for our garbage from East End to West Bay, Georgetown, right through Bordentown. Garbage is everywhere. I went on the eastern side 3 days, practically straight, and the garbage is ridiculous. They're out picking up now, but the facts remain is if we can't keep our garbage trucks and staff intact, I mean, what else can we keep intact on this island? Garbage, of all things, that can cause so much disease and sickness and everything you could think of, And I really blame the homeowners and the rentals for not doing the garbage properly. I think we need to start putting some kind of restriction up there, in regards to this garbage, because the people are just ridiculous when they're exposed into the main street to be picked up. All garbage men, they're human beings, and it's just ridiculous. And when I see them come out here all over the night and 5 o'clock in the morning, they have no lights on them, they have no reflection on them, and so forth, But I just want to say that we need to try to enhance what we have in tourism, get all our beaches up and running properly, get our port, the Royal and North and the South Terminal under a better working environment when it comes to proper bathrooms, cleanliness, and a bit more organized, the sports dock.
down there got disgraced from the went down and opened that parking lot for parking. Nothing else has been down there. They walk out. They go to the water. The woods are coming out of that. They got open space in between them. And believe me, there's visitors down there every day and locals going down there. You see, Sterling, what I don't like about my island, we don't act in this island until something happens. You can't bring back somebody's life after they're gone when you could do better. We got these people in government sitting in the glass house just overlooking and you know, believing what everybody come and tell them that we need and what we don't need. I mean, Sterling, if we the people of this island will start for something, we will fall for anything. And at the meeting on the 26th of last month, you know, there's a lot of people sitting down saying, but nobody can eat that dead coral. Nobody can eat dead coral. The coral in the sea is dead. Sterling, when you is working with the water sports, and you don't do on land tours and so forth, you are sort of like lost to an extent. So I just want to say, those guys that are who's in the water sports today, if you all is so concerned about us having a pier, they're going to bring in more revenue for us on this island, you all should get busy now and start looking into having your own gift shops throughout the island, so you can get piece of the water sports and piece of land with a little store to bring in some income. Because Sterling, the majority of those water sport people, they do not run taxi on the road at night or even during the daytime. They just do the water sports and bomb and they're gone home. So they're not really into the tourism at the hotels. You understand where I'm coming from? Mm-hmm. So they're not really working with them when the evening come to go take them for dinner or take them to the airport or a tour or whatever. They just seem like they're just doing pure water sports. Nothing against the water sports, don't get me wrong. I mean, that's beautiful. But the fact remains is, stop clawing down, saying that we need a pier because our water sports is our main bread and butter. Everything in tourism is bread and butter. Don't care where you are in the hotels, taxi, water sports, gift shops, whatever. It's bread and butter right across the whole border of the Cayman Island. So I just want to say that we, the people of this island, we need to try to focus on what is best to Cayman, because not everything that is big is great. Not everything that is big is great. We need to try to sit down and try to work with each other and try to show some love and care and concern for our elders and especially our children. I'm sick and tired of government and other people using our children to get where they want to get, because your child is in school, your child is trying to get education. Stop using your child when you're out here trying to fight to say we need this and we need that when it comes to a port. Your children and my grandchildren may not even be interested in water sports or tourism, period. Next 25 years, if that port is built, you want to tell me that most of who's in government now, God forbid, may not even be around to see us collect that 25 years of that port to say it belongs to the Cayman people. We're going to leave our children in such a debt and that they're not going to want to go out there to try to maintain it. Let me tell you something. The children of today, they ain't thinking about what some of these grown folks are thinking. I asked 25 to 30 kids just a couple of weeks ago, who want to work in tourism? Some of those kids said they didn't know what tourism was all about. One little expert said, tourism is foolishness. I said, excuse me? So we don't get out here and teach the kids in school what tourism is. These kids have very little interest in tourism, but that's one of our pillars, and we have to keep maintaining it. But I say a pier is not going to solve the problem. We're going to build a pier and let someone hold it for 25 years, they're saying, and we're going to draw high-end visitors to the island. I thought all our visitors was important to this island. But a dollar spent is a dollar spent. Same thing down the Seafire said. They're trying to attract high-end visitors. But we got to be careful how we word our words, because these people don't have to come to the Cayman Islands, you know. They don't have to come here. So we got to be careful what we say, because them American people and every other person when it comes to discrimination, they're not for it. They're not for it. They will rise up against you. I thank you, Sterling. You have a great one.
Thank you, too, for sharing, and certainly enjoyed the afternoon as well. And as the caller reflects, do we in our community understand the importance of the tourism sector? But are we looking at it only as a source of revenue for government or a source of employment for our country? When we're out there making our money, is our customer service just feigned, or is it that we genuinely, like our forefathers, they seem to have a graciousness, a hospitable nature in the way they interacted not only with their neighbours but equally with our visitors to our shores? And it has to be more than just about how much money we're making. Now, to the caller's point and to some others who have shared that when our visitors come to our shores, in particular by the cruise ships, is there a way to make that experience not just safer but more welcoming when they come off the ships and when they return? Can it not only be more efficient and effective, but can it be more pleasant? Can we extend to them not just a warm welcome, but a great thank you as they come, as they depart, so that when they return? Now, for years, and I think some of you may have, statistics to indicate the governments, this one, present and past, have been trying to determine how many people come by cruise ships, then return, as their visitors. What are their experiences? The different exit surveys and polls that we've been trying to do over the years. Are we leveraging that information in order to ensure that not just that we're being competitive and attractive, but that we're giving value for money, that we're offering up our tourists? We always hear, Cayman is an expensive destination. Is it really? Have we looked at it honestly and statistically? No. It is, without question, seem very costly when we go into our supermarkets and our retail outlets and we're buying some of the products. But is there a way to make that less costly without decreasing the quality? But what is it that our parents tell us? You should pay for what you get and get what you pay for. It's necessary for us to offer value for money. But if you, want to drive a Ferrari, don't expect to pay the price of a Fiat. You've got to, what they tell us, cut your sail according to your cloth. But equally, as we complain and condemn the government, are we prepared to stand in the gap and hold them accountable and ensure that we're informed? There's going to always be people who posture in politics. Hey, that makes for good entertainment, but also makes, for a healthier democracy. Well, where are we? If you're eligible to, be registered as a voter, as an elector, have you gone about, making sure that you get on the register? Now, I can say this with great respect. There are probably some who feel that there are too many impediments. This process should be simpler and easier. Now, that being what it is, can we make it such? But for the time being, are we on that register? That's one list that we want to be on. So come election day, come a day if there's a referendum or some other thing of national importance where those who are registered voters can have a say, on that day, if you're registered, you can choose to have that say. But it'll be your choice. If you're not on the list, well, you're not on the list. That's only one of the list that's more important than that, 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Let's pause and take a break. And when we come back, maybe we'll have the good company of an early arrival of Miss El Kafira. Let's see what we can do. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Brand Source Home Gallery has been appointed the exclusive Cayman supplier for Duravit bathroom products. Duravit is the leading international manufacturer of bathroom ceramics, tubs and showers, recognized around the world for beautiful, functional products. Winner of top industry awards, Duravit collaborates with leading European designers to provide the most elegant and innovative bath products. If you're ready to bring style, comfort and innovation to your bathroom, visit Brand Source Home Gallery to see the new Duravit showroom and meet the in-house bath designer. Whether you're planning a functional family bathroom or a personal spa retreat, browse the Duravit collection and be inspired. Brand Source Home Gallery, delivering a new standard in custom designed bathrooms. Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Radio Cayman, your number one community station, would like to remind you that we are in the hurricane season, and in order to survive a hurricane, you need to be prepared. If officials' sources say a hurricane is imminent, please board up or shutter up windows in your home or place of business. Remember to use good lumber, as makeshift boarding may actually cause more damage. Also put strong bracing on outside doors so that they are not blown off or blown in.
This hurricane advice was brought to you by Radio Cayman, your caring community radio station.
Cruise tourism is a vital part of Cayman's economy. It is the government's responsibility to create an environment where our people can have an opportunity to grow and prosper today, tomorrow, and into the future. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that cruise passengers spend $200 million per year buying services from small businesses, tour operators, attractions, restaurants, and retail shops. Those funds stay right here, supporting our economy and communities. Support the pairs. Support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And in the studio, excellent company of Miss Elke Fuhrer, novelist. I was thinking how best to introduce Miss Elke, but you know what? Just get her books, read them, and then you'll see for yourself the incredible talent. And there are a few books I read and reread, and I want to share, yours come on that list. I like the Daily series and all the family, and I think as we get started, I want to ask you one question that I think everybody asks authors, but I've never asked before, but I've always been inclined to only ask you. Sort of having to pick between which child you like the best, right? So I'm going to ask you which one you like of all your books. But I know I have my favorite. But welcome, Miss Elke. Join with us now as we celebrate with you in the upcoming book fair.
Thanks, Dwayne. I'm thrilled to be here. It's always fun to hang out with you here on the radio. So I'm so excited to be here and talk about the Cayman Islands Book Fair as well as a writing retreat that I'm doing this year.
All right. Well, that's the thing as we look at it, and we see so many of our people having this opportunity to look at not just alternative career paths, but to start to embrace that in Cayman, if they want to be an author, they can be, right? That this isn't just something for somebody else in some other part of the world. That people like you have paved the way, and with commitment and dedication, they too can be published. Now, we have a lot of talent, and you, incredible talent.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. And that is so true what you said about, here at home and in Cayman, and that's one of the whole reasons of having the book fair.
All right. So the book fair is coming up, Cayman's book fair, plus your writing retreat and the like, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us about it.
Okay. The book fair is on the 13th of October, which is this Saturday, and it's from 10 until 2. And we're going to have all local authors and a few that are flown in from our neighboring countries to join us. So we're excited about that. And the retreat is on the 14th, and that is at the Grand Cayman Hotel, and it's from 1 to 5:30, and that's basically just working with me. We're going to do some learning sessions, some writing sprints and prompts, and just really diving in and just answering the questions that writers have, and just creating a really great community and a structured time and place for writers who want to really write and are committed to getting their stories done.
And that's the thing. As I listen to you, sometimes some of us recognize that whether it was an assignment for some paper that we were doing, some study we had, or whether it's because we actually have this thing in us that we would like to write, whether it's poetry, whether it's short stories, or maybe this book that's always been in us. That thing that we're feeling at times, we call it emotion, we call it whatever, it can come out in paper if you find a way to channel that. I like pen and paper. Some may prefer the computer. Some may want to, I say, dictate, but you may want to speak to some gizmo and have a recording. Being in a session like how you organizing with others may prompt them to be able to get that creative juice and that poetic license there.
Oh, absolutely, because it's really an event for whether you're a fiction writer whether you're a poet and you want to get some poems done, and also nonfiction writers as well too. So I'm really trying to make sure that I include everybody and just create a wonderful environment and a learning opportunities, as well as, a lot of writers have questions that they perhaps would like to have answered by somebody who's sort of gone there so they don't make those same mistakes, or just have questions about writing or the publishing industry. Whatever it is, this is really the opportunity to do that.
Now, I've gathered from many people, and respectfully, mostly from people who have, perhaps lived, worked, or may have born in other places. When they come to Cayman, they say, you don't know how much easier it is here to do this, to set up that business, to base your business here and conduct business internationally, or to be an artist, whether you're writing, drawing, painting, sculpting, or what have you. Many of us, would say you can't see the trees for the forest, or the forest for the trees.
Yeah, that's true. And I have to say, I'm just so excited. I still try to keep up with what's going on in Cayman because unfortunately I'm not here anymore. But with all the artists and just the whole creative community as a whole, and I'm just so excited by how it's been changing and evolving, and it's really just grown leaps and bounds. And I think, there's just so much opportunity here, and I see that there's so many people that are really, when they don't get the support that they need, they're like, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen. And it's just been tremendous to see happening, especially in the creative community, for sure.
Well, I commend you for that. It's encouraging and inspiring, but it also may cause others to start to appreciate what they can do. And sometimes you just need to see that example, right?
I couldn't agree with you more, Dwayne. I think that's why events like these here in our own home by our own people is so important, because it's easy when you see, Nora Roberts come down, and that could be great, and you'll be thinking, oh well, that's great, that's her, she's got all these opportunities there. But when you see that it's somebody that you might have gone to school with, or that grew up in your community, and you're like, man, if they can do it, I can do it too. And I think that is a whole other level of inspiration and encouragement for people, for sure. All
right. Well, I want to get a chance, if you don't mind, for us to talk about your books a little bit, right? And you have. And it's not just because we know you, gone to school with you, or you have a style. And I will ask you about your favorite of, how to pick between your children.
Normally I would say, that's a really difficult one. But I have to say one of my newest ones is probably one of my favorites, just because the topic is a little bit emotional, but it's close to my heart because it's something that I'm really passionate about. It was a very emotional book to write, and for those of you, it's a little bit more emotional than some of my other books. It's pretty intense because it's a very strong topic, but it's one that I think that is, I have to say, it's my new favorite at the moment, and that's Deadly Family, and that's the third book in the series.
All right. Because, you've got so, perhaps you guide me in this, There are many of us who have our favorite authors, and I'm talking about internationally sort of established, who've got millions and millions of copies, and they've got dozens of books, so to speak. So you get a chance to watch them in their early years, and you watch them sort of find a voice, find a style, and transition, they develop. And then the minute that author writes something that is outside of that norm, it's very, very indicative. You look at it and you say, "Oh, I don't know. What are you thinking?" Huh?
Yeah, and I think there might be a little bit of this. I've had a mixture of feedback. I've had one of my, what I call beta readers, which she reads basically everything that I've written, and she gives me fantastic feedback, and she absolutely loved it. She said it was a roller coaster. She goes, she laughed, she cried, she had to stay up and then wake up in the middle of the night to finish it. But then I've also had people that are like, wow, this was a little bit too intense for me. I couldn't make it through the whole book. So I think it is very raw, a lot more raw than some of my other stories. But I think that it is definitely worth reading to the end.
Well, and reading to me is much better than, watching something on television. It's even better than listening to some audio, because you get to read. Now, you have a comfortable spot. I always used to enjoy the hammock. And the book, honestly, can just be cradled in your hand. You can close your eyes for a second. Maybe you'll doze off because you're tired, but you get taken away. It's not a cliche. And those who are avid readers understand that. But equally, how many people can remember sort of, being young and lights out and then under the sheets with a flashlight.
Guilty.
Right? It's what we did. Yeah. And it doesn't make you anything other than, a curious, inquisitive mind that is intrigued by what is before you. Now, what you put into your mind is important.
Absolutely.
So, if you're under the flashlights, maybe more words than pictures. As Susan says, try to behave. But for the book fair, it's going to be this Saturday.
Mm-hmm. This Saturday from 10 to 2 at the Georgetown Library. And they've done an amazing job. I've coordinated with them in the past, and they're really taking it over and handling it completely this year, which has been a tremendous relief. And I'm thrilled because they've really just gone above and beyond with supporting and making the community aware of local authors. So it's only right that they should be the one to sort of take it over and handle it. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Well, I think this is, as I look at it, this is where I think it's important for us to start to increasingly appreciate at the end of the day. It is for our space and our support. Now for the book fair, we as a public come out and see the different books, the different authors, be inspired, and it's not unlike what you see at some book fairs in other parts of the world. Just that these are people you should know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still have people come up to me and say, "Oh, I didn't know you wrote a book," even though I've been doing it for so many years and I have them, and they're even in some of the local bookstores. Yeah. So it's a nice experience to come out and, like I said, connect with people that you might go to work with and you didn't realize that they wrote a book. And it's just a really great way to also, support local authors. A lot of people who are avid readers always come out. I mean, I've seen people come and buy like every single author's books. And, and that's fabulous because I'm telling you right now, we as local authors, I can't tell you how much we appreciate that.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, I just have to ask, is it okay if you have it in your collection of books? The local section, is that okay?
No, absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely.
No, but I only jest because I think it's important for us to, you go into the supermarket and you expect to find certain things in this section, right? That thing there's other place you go, well, why? It's probably maybe, so if you have books at home and you got them organized like some must do, well, you can go quick reference, right?
No, absolutely. I have a place on my bookshelf too. That's all my local authors that I know. Some of them I've read more than once, and some of them I haven't even read yet because so many books. Yeah. And there's a lot of authors here too that I think people don't even realize how many authors there are here on the island as well too. So
and you get a sense, with everything. You read or you watch, you see, you speak with people, and you come away going, But if you don't do it for yourself, then you can honestly have that informed perspective.
Absolutely.
All right. So when we come back, tell us more about your books. Okay. Tell us about the book fair and the retreat.
Absolutely.
All right. Elke Fura, can I say our author, Elke Fura?
Absolutely.
We'll soon see that blockbuster, movie. And she's going to tell you who I think should star in it. But 8949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. After news, chance to not just celebrate and to be proud of. Yesterday we were able to do that with our elderly. Well, Miss Elke, we can probably put you in a younger category.
A little bit.
A little bit? No, we can do that. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time. Praise time on Radio Cayman. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I'm going
up them golden stairs. 'Cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
Give me Jesus in the morning.
For the God of the mountain is still God in the valley.
Shout for joy to God, all the earth sing glory to His name. Praise time. Praise time. Jesus in the morning. Yeah. Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Power is back on at this hour after more than 10,000 customers woke up without electricity this morning, just after 7:30. According to the Caribbean Utilities outage map, customers were affected from West Bay to East End. In international news, an estimated 120,000 people along the Florida Panhandle have been ordered to clear out as Hurricane Michael rapidly picked up steam in the Gulf of Mexico and closed in with winds of 110 miles per hour and a potential storm surge of 12 feet. UN Ambassador Nikki Haley is leaving the administration at the end of the year. She and U.S. President Donald Trump announced today. She gave no reason for her departure after 2 years, although there is speculation that she will return to government or politics at some point. British winemakers are experiencing a bumper crop of sparkling wine. That's thanks to the hottest summer on record in that country. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. And thank you for joining us in the studio, author L.K. Fuhrer and writing coach, perhaps. Add that to the list.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. and we look at students in, well, usually it was English class. Now, I don't know what it was called, no, but English composition, you how to do essays and the like. And the teacher would come around and they'd give you, well, here's a sentence or writing prompt. Finish this or maybe end it with this or some, here's the title. And the children would set about doing things, helping them to develop.
No, absolutely. And that's really some of what's going to be in the writing retreat. I'm going to have not just verbal prompts, but visual prompts as well, too, because everybody's a little bit different. Or if it's a writer, they know what they're going to write, and they just want that time and that space of uninterrupted time, because we really all need that. Life gets crazy, and it's amazing how much you can accomplish in that short time frame, and I really wanted to provide that opportunity for them. So absolutely, we've got that. And, it's really just an opportunity, whether it's the book fair or the writing retreat, to connect with other writers. I'm a huge advocate for, we as writers, we tend to think we have to stay in our own little bubble, when the truth is when we really connect and collaborate with other people who have the same interests as us or are going through the same things as us, because sometimes when you've been telling your family about the same story, they don't get as excited about it as with your other writers, and you can bounce off ideas.
Oh, you got that again?
Yeah. They're not as excited as you are or another writer would be, because they understand, that journey that you're going on. So I think building those relationships is really important, and I've seen so many fantastic, lasting relationships that have happened as a result of the book fair and these type of events.
And that's the thing. You get a chance to network, to build, community, and as you're talking to people who are, going that same journey, maybe that encouragement, maybe sometimes they can give you that quick little nudge that you need. So for the writing fair, if people want more information, if they want to maybe participate, Is it still time?
Sure, absolutely. For the writing retreat, they can go to bit.ly/2018 write retreat, and that will take them to the registration.
And that's right, like how you write.
WRITE,
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
the other right.
See, that's the thing with English, you know.
You got to be careful.
There's a word for that, right? All the words that sound like spelled different with different meanings.
Yes.
Yeah. What do they call it, Susan?
It's homographs. And I only know that because I just started teaching some girls as volunteering, and I had to do that as an assignment.
Yeah. Oh man, and we think now, well, what do I need to know about antonyms and synonyms and all? Well, it actually comes into play, and this is, I think, part of the reason why, even as parents today, hopefully I'm not talking out of school, no pun intended, but a parent was saying, she has an interest in wanting to write. She likes to write, poetry, and as she explores sort of not just the semantics, but the mechanics of writing, is now helping her with her own child in school, the preterite and the preposition and stuff, and she's starting to appreciate, why didn't I pay attention then? Well, you actually know it, but you don't know that you know it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So.
And, I think whenever you're learning anything new, I think with writing, people don't realize how much actually goes into it when you really start to break it down and studying it. There's actually a lot to learn, and it's something that you can definitely benefit from on all levels. And
it's a structure, like anything. Yeah. There are many people who can weave a story together, whether oral or otherwise, and talking about the beginning, the middle, and the end. But being able to effectively write, how many of us have picked up a book and read it and go, "Wow, that was really compelling"?
Yeah.
Or other times you're going, "Man, this is hard." And I'm not just talking about the government budget, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Look at Susan smiling. The camera should be over there. I'm just kidding. She is professional. I want at some point to show people our book, as Susan reminds us. But for the writing retreat and the like, just go, as you said, it's Sunday from...
It's Sunday from
Sunday,
1 to 5:30, and I'm just go through the details of what's going to be covered. It's going to be a structured time and place to write with visual and word prompts, connecting with other writers to build relationships. There are going to be Q&A sessions with me, learning sessions geared towards writing with confidence and consistency, and also goal setting to guide you from where you are to where you want to be, which I think is really equally important when you're writing. And some of the bonuses that I'm going to have is I wrote a nonfiction book on how to create a writing routine for your lifestyle, which I think time is one of the most difficult things that writers have when finishing their book. So that's going to be included. And just some wonderful writing inspiration cards, as well as a goal-setting coaching session with me. So lots of great things that are going to be included, and it's limited to 10 writers only, because for me it's really about creating that intimate relationship and giving the writers what they need from the experience. So that's why it's limited to 10 authors, but there's still space for sure.
Well, for those established or budding authors, come out and see, and maybe something that you were thinking about but you're not quite sure, this may be an opportunity for you to get that rolling. We know that when the creative juices start to flow, you may not have that structured time then and say, well, I'm writing between 10 and 2. You got to strike what I say, no?
Yeah,
when it's hot.
Absolutely.
All right. With that, and as we talk about the book fair coming up on Saturday, the day prior, or this Saturday, at the Georgetown Public Library, just as our audience and as just the members of the public, we just come, browse the aisles and talk to the authors, buy the books.
Absolutely. We're going to be, I know the library is really fantastic about having activities for the kids as well, too. And then usually the authors are in the old part of the library, all lined up, and we'll be excited to talk to you and come and have you take a look at our books. I am going to have all of my books available except for one at the book fair, including my 2 new ones, which is Deadly Family.
Would I ask you, and Susan reminds me now, I'd say, but this is radio. She said, well, no, this is radio with vision. So for those of you who watch us on, is it YouTube, FaceTime, whatever? YouTube, I know it's on YouTube. Here Miss LK is showing us her book. Sort of feel like Vanna White, So she's going to zoom in on it. It's a Deadly Family. And it's in the Deadly Series book. So you got a Deadly Race was one, and
Deadly Bloodlines.
And Deadly Bloodline. Oh yeah, they were good. I enjoyed those. So she writes about everything, and then the other book,
Persuading Lola. Yeah.
Oh, the jazz singer.
this is a prequel to my very first book, and this is the story of the ghosts who were in it, because everybody wanted to hear their story, and this is their story.
All right. Well, For the Love of Jazz,
yes.
What was it called? That was my favorite.
Yes.
When I first wrote it, I hope it's okay to say that. I thought, and I still believe, that the individual, not just because she's Caymanian, but because she is probably the greatest actor right now and will be there of all time. Right? Yeah, her sister is, right down the road working with the government, Can I call her name?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
You see her on shows, still a star, And this just shows what the talent, whether you want to pursue the performing arts or whether you want to be an author, right? And when you think of someone like Grace Geely, that incredible talent, but the discipline and the perseverance, and now we see her. I thought, when I read that book, this is who should be starring in this. Yeah, Halle Berry would have been nice, but Grace would be better.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. She's very talented, and I just absolutely love her. I think she's fantastic.
Well, I must share. Hopefully, I don't know how this stuff works, and hopefully this doesn't mess it up. But Frankie Flowers directing this, Grace starring, Yeah, they can put Vin Diesel somewhere in the background just for a candidate. That would be an awesome production.
It would be, and the film industry has really taken off in Cayman, and because I know I've had a couple of people approach me to say, we could, write the screenplay and pitch it to, Hollywood, blah blah blah. And I just thought, what, it's really something for me. I would rather have somebody from Cayman do it, just because it is picking up, and having our own people, I think it would just be
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was a handsome, tall, good looking, and could act, I would do the other part. But I have other people who could do that. But no, and the reason why I say that is that reading that book. Okay, what was your first book? Like anything, the first croissant cake that you bake.
Yeah.
Your parents probably like it, or they mightn't. If they're honest. But it takes a work. But this was great, man. As is, each one getting better and better.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a labor of love. That took 10 years, so yeah.
Well, you did share that, and I did remember that, and I asked that, thank you. I was going to ask that, but thank you for volunteering. For those people now, who are thinking, well, I'll never be an author. I mean, I had this book 10 years. Yeah, but your mama took you 9 months, and whichever, right? So nothing good comes overnight. And hopefully that's not being disrespectful, but for people to understand that, the gold field didn't come out because, one day they pressed the magic wand. I mean, she was the greatest sailing vessel that ever, hit the seas, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, it takes time, it takes craftsmanship, it takes ability, but then if you don't put that ability into action, you have nothing, right?
Absolutely. It's all about what you were saying with time is important, but it's really about perseverance and just, learning what you need to learn to keep moving forward. And that's really, I think, the biggest thing, because a lot of writers, they're all excited and they start, and then when they hit that first roadblock, they kind of give up. And the truth is that it is difficult, and you are going to run into challenges like anything in life, and I think the important thing is just to, if you believe in yourself and you keep going forward, you can do it. Even if it takes you a book takes me a year to 2 years now, which is still a long time. But compared to 10 years, it's a heck of a lot better.
Well, it's from 10 years to 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Well, what is the gestation period for elephant? 13 months.
Absolutely.
So, and it just shows that, but life goes on. And if you really want it, there's a lot to go into it. And maybe at the book fair, that's some of the things that people can share. Perhaps you can give us a perspective of those people who are looking at this. Don't just expect it overnight. Yeah, you might be able to get the first draft out and it'll be perfect.
No, absolutely. And, for those maybe can't make the writing retreat, I also have an online group that I do, is Cayman K Writers Writing Group, and it's a Facebook group. And we've got I'm coming up on 300 people. Not all of them are from Cayman, but about almost 130 of them are. And I share with them, information on how to take those steps to get to where they need to be. I share all kinds of different things with them, and as well as I do group coaching online. Some people like it, some people don't. If it's for you and it said something that would fit with you, that's also an opportunity as well too.
Perfect. I'm going to pause quickly and take a break. Maybe I can hear a little bit more about the 2 new books, her 2 latest books, Persuade and Lola in particular. And as we come back, if you want to join the discussion, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Just a quick preview, 1:30, if you want to share with us. we invite you to be a part of a discussion as we have a chance to, talk about screen time and mental health and the like of our young people. Well, that's 1:30. But until then, Miss Elke Fiore is our guest. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
Cruise tourism is a vital part of Cayman's economy. It is the government's responsibility to create an environment where our people can have an opportunity to grow and prosper today, tomorrow, and into the future. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that cruise passengers spend $200 million per year buying services from small businesses, tour operators, attractions, restaurants, and retail shops. Those funds stay right here, supporting our economy and communities. Support the pairs. Support our tourism.
It is your time, Cayman Islands. Have a voice in the future.
2018 Fall Labor Force Survey is currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office ESO. The LFS collects data on the employed and unemployed persons. Trained interviewers with ESO ID cards will visit the randomly selected households in all districts. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the statistics law. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from freedom of information. For more details, please call the ESO hotline at 516-3329.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And I hope I don't, make her feel, a little bit too bashful or whatever. But Miss Elke Fiore, she's a talented author, a product of her education system, but of a loving mother in particular who was very nurturing and encouraging. And I say that only to encourage our people, our parents in particular. It's great that we can look internationally at notable people who've made great accomplishments and be inspired by them. That is excellent. Young boys who play football now may not remember who Pele or Zico was, and some would even go back earlier, but they may know the Messis and the others from today. That's fine. But what about the guy, who just a few years ago used to play locally? Likewise with our authors and others. Yeah. But we too need to make sure that we constantly raise the bar. And you're raising the bar with your books, Miss Elke.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. And you are making me blush now.
Well, it's the best way of thinking, No, but I say that, and thank you, but it's important and it's truthful. And as I read this stuff and I see the standards that you set and the sort of, I won't say perfection, but you're striving for excellence. And that's important because that's who we are.
Yes.
No, I said that my favorite book, you said your favorite book. Let the audience buy theirs and then they can determine a competition.
No, absolutely. The first book is Persuading Lola, and that's a prequel to my very first book, which is your favorite, For the Love of Jazz. And this is the story of the two ghosts that were in there. It's about the jazz singer Lola Johnson. And, she is trying to pursue her career as a singer in the 1950s. And this gentleman sort of walks in and he's like, yes, she's for me. I don't care about our racial and social differences, even in 1959, which is a huge thing. And this is just their journey to overcome the obstacles that they had at that time to find love and happiness.
Is it shot in Chicago as well?
It's in Chicago as well, too.
And we know that you spent, your formative years in Chicago. Right.
I've been there twice.
But the reason why I say is that reading the book, if we didn't know that you were from Cayman, not Chicago, that, you grew up, and I won't say where exactly, you would think that, these streets they describe, the homes and stuff. But that shows the research, the diligence, the attention to detail that comes across in your book. So that when we're reading it, just like we would read Ludlam, he's going down some street in Paris or what have you, you think you're there.
Yeah.
The reader gets that same level of sort of experience.
No, absolutely. And I read a lot of books about Chicago, especially during the 1950s, which was not easy to find, let me tell you. Yeah. I read about various communities, housing communities. I really researched a lot of pictures of the houses, of the cities, of just what it looked like in the daytime and nighttime, just to get an emotional feel of what it is. Because to me, it's nice to describe stuff, but for me, the emotion of it is really what draws the reader in, and that's why that research and the pictures were a really important part of that.
Well, I wouldn't want to say all of us can, but I believe most of us look at something and we can visualize it. Perhaps not as many can write it and give that same level of vivid graphical representation. Yeah. But you've done that. This is a book without pictures. All right, so it's not a picture book. But when you read it, the words leap off the page and you can actually, see the smoke-filled jazz club. Yeah. She's on stage singing and the guy's back there. Oh, he's sticking over. And you get that emotion. You get as if you're sitting right there next to him, tasting the air, as it were. Yeah. That's the creative genius. Right?
I think thankfully for me, that is a part of writing that I am better at than others. So that works out really well for me. I have to work a little hard at the other stuff. But
but that research that you shared, that diligence, there are many of us who can quickly give them a microphone, an audience, and they think it's a political rally. They can speak comfortably. There are others who give them some time and they'll get through making that toast, to their best friend at this most important occasion. We all are different, but we all can read and should appreciate, the joy of being able to not just celebrate, with our local authors, but inspire them, encourage
absolutely.
Them.
And that's really what I love to do and why I sort of branched into coaching as such and just helping others achieve that dream. Because there's so many people that have that dream that just don't know what the steps are to get to where they want to go. And I love the joy and the passion and the excitement that writers get when they're like, oh, I finished my first draft, or, oh, I finished this first chapter. It only took me 3 months, but I'm like, that joy that they experience is joy for me too. And that's the best thing about it.
I mean, I know a friend who gets excited after he finished his first draft, but is using a pint. That's a different story. Oh, come on, Susan. I mean, some people got humor. I'm trying. I can think going, man, that's not really the funniest joke. But seriously, that is what is important about the Writers' Retreat. You get in there and maybe you come to a stumbling block. You know that you would want this particular next chapter to go a certain way, or maybe this is where you think the book should go, but you're wrestling with say the voices or whatever it is that's coming out. The guys next to you can say, hey, what about this? And you can have a sounding board.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of the great things about having building those relationships with other writers, because I'm always fascinated even by other writers who teach like I do and how differently they present things. And I recently went to a workshop with this writer in Miami, and she presented a way to develop characters that I had never seen anybody do before. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier than how I've learned or tried to do it in the past myself. And she just did an amazing job. And that's why, like I said, the way that you look at something versus the way somebody else looks at something could really open your eyes and make you realize that, wow, this will work better for me than how I've been trying to struggle to do it myself.
We're seeing the transformations in education with respect to teaching. You go into a math class, for instance, and all of a sudden, I thought they were doing addition. Well, they're doing subtraction, division, not to get to the addition. There are different ways, different teaching styles, learning, sort of differentials as people have to approach how they'll learn, and we need to change our teaching accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely, because we all learn differently as well too, and it's important that people aren't made to feel that they're not good learners just because you're not teaching it in a way that they can learn.
Exactly.
So that's really important.
You learn from each other, and there on Saturday, hopefully, people can see what our authors are up to. On Sunday, for those who come out, be part of your writing retreat, can put that into practice, and maybe in short order, you'll have a few more next to you, and I'll be interviewing them because their book is the next blockbuster.
Absolutely, I completely believe that.
So do I, man. I think it's possible. I think we need to encourage each other. Don't expect something for nothing. I don't care what it is. You want to lose weight, you got to exercise, need healthy.
It takes work.
Provided you don't get sick constantly. But many people don't want to put in the effort. Right? You have put in the effort.
Yes.
And you've seen the success.
Absolutely. And I think it's about finding, how you learn and finding a way that excites you. And that's what I try to, bring to the authors is to, if you don't like the way that I've presented it, how can you make it work so that it's exciting for you and it makes you want to keep going?
Two things as we close.
Sure.
Did you always want to be an author? Is that something you always knew you wanted to do?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right.
For as long as I can remember, I think I told you this before, my parents gave me a typewriter for my typewriter, yeah. I'm not going to say how old I was.
They were showing what used to happen back in the day.
Yes. And it wasn't even an electric typewriter, so there you go.
I should know those things. I wish I had one now.
Me too. I really do. I wish I'd kept it. Yeah.
My sisters, anyway, I'm not going to go there. But that's the thing. See, some people know what they want. Just like that little girl who wants to be a doctor or a teacher today. We just need to encourage them and nurture them. And unfortunately, sometimes we consciously, but worse, inadvertently discourage them.
Yeah, and especially if, as a parent, it's really difficult when, you have your expectations of what you would like them to do and be and achieve. And when it doesn't reach that, you're kind of, it's hard to continue to be encouraging when you know that you want them to go in a different direction. Yeah. But, sometimes we have to just let that go and just say, they know and they have to make that journey, and they might come around to what you want them to do, but at the end of the day, they need to make that journey and they have to, walk that path.
Well, like that individual who may, for whatever reason, bills to pay, they have obligations to honor, commitments, but they're where they are now, but they want to be an author, they want to be published. One bit of advice to them, what would you say?
I would say I think I say this all the time, don't give up.
Don't give up. Stick to it.
Don't give up. Stick to it. Because I never dreamed in a million years that I would have started writing full time as quickly as I did. I had a plan. No doubt about it. I always have a plan. But my plan was a 10-year plan, and I ended up doing it in 2 years. And it was just one of those things where you work the plan and the plan will work for you. That's what I say. So just keep going even when it feels like, it looks like it's years down the road. You never know what doors may open up and the opportunities that come.
Well, like I say, when life gives you still oranges, mix wanking.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
That's how you do it, man. No, for Saturday at the Georgetown Public Library.
Yes.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And like I said, the library are great. They always have activities for the kids as well, too. So go ahead and bring them out. I know that there's going to be an amazing selection of authors to come out and support. And there's going to be some great books. I am looking forward to going and buying some myself. So
yeah, man. And if, certainly read them, but if you're like some of us and you bought them initially just to have a collection, well, there's some good books out there. I have a few. I remind you, I need to kind of make sure I got them in one spot. And I love them. It's important. It's for many reasons. Yeah. And Sunday, if people want to be a part of the retreat,
they can go to the website or the address bit.ly/2018 write WRITE retreat, and it'll give you all the information you need, and you can register there as well too. Okay. And I just want to add, on Saturday, if you come by the book fair, I'll be at the table. Come and ask me any questions that you have, or just come and say hello. I love chatting with people, so please do.
And you're an excellent communicator and very, very motivating. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Alcafiore, I think, website, I remember looking at it a couple of times, so they can easily get that, right? alcafiore.com would be.
That's correct, yeah. And for writing stuff is kwriters.com.
All right, perfect stuff. Saturday at the Georgetown Public Library from 10 a.m. Thank you so much, Ms. Elkin. Congratulations. Always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Dwayne. Same here.
All right. Please join us after this break. Dr. Antonio Hawkins and Ms. Sutton Burke will be our guests. Our topic, is young people and mental health in this changing world. We're going to be talking about their screen time and mental health. Hey, why not hear what the psychologists have to share? So please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
It is your time, Cayman Islands. Have a voice in the future of Cayman's cruise industry at the opposition's continuing series of meetings. Get accurate information and have your say. Is Cayman maintaining its competitive edge? Is docking more efficient and workable than tender service? What drives passenger satisfaction and return visits? Get the facts and help keep Cayman's cruise industry bright. Join the opposition for Phase 2 of the island-wide meetings at 7:30 p.m. Monday, October 8th, West Bay Primary School Hall. Tuesday, October 9th, South Sound Community Hall. Wednesday, October 10th, the Seafarers Association's Meeting Hall, Prospect. It is your time, Cayman Islands. Your time to have your say. The opposition, safeguarding our future.
Country classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Well, I love them in
Country classics.
young love, first love.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country classics.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
It's an all-white affair by Webster Memorial United Church, Saturday, October 13th at Pedro Castle. A night filled with fellowship, entertainment, and your favorite Caymanian dishes with all the trimmings. All for only $25. Tickets are available at all United Church locations or by calling 526-0444. Don't miss the lineup of Lammy Seymour, Women of Purpose, William White, and Samuel Rose. The all-white affair, Saturday, October 13th at Pedro Castle. Call 526-0444. Or visit any United Church to get your tickets today.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for joining us. And really is, I should be careful how I say this, doing this job is almost like, not work at all. I learn, I get to laugh, I really get to be inspired and motivated. And when we have guests like you guys coming in and sharing with us, we benefit. It's sort of like a free session. You're in a lecture at times, you're in a class setting, you're in counseling. You get to take away, valuable things that you can use immediately. And as parents in particular, so beneficial. So as we welcome to our studio, Dr. Antonio Hawkins and Ms. Sutton Burke, and our topic today, I think, is very timely. The fact that we're looking at young people in their mental health. There's a changing world. So young people mental health in a changing world is what you're sharing. Screen time and mental health. I thought the answer was just take all their phones and their devices and put them in the garbage. Forget about it. Let's go. But no, apparently that doesn't work, right? So Dr. Antonio, welcome, Mom. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Ms. Sutton is all. Pleasure as well, Mom.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you again.
Oh, my. It is to me an awesome opportunity to be able to share with us. And as we're looking at it, what is the main concern perhaps we should be looking at when we're thinking of our young people in particular? The way they communicate, the way that they interact, the way they engage, the things that engages them. I mean, this really is, how it happens. They're all friends, but they're across many miles, but they're talking, or presumably are they. What should we be maybe concerned? Put us in a perspective.
I'd say, we're not saying that technology is bad.
I know.
There are actually lots of advantages to technology, including the opportunity to, communicate across distance, to learn new things, to try out new things, to have challenges. The concerns in terms of mental health are really twofold. One is there's some guidelines that apply to both kids and adults, but kids are in a unique circumstance because their brain is still developing. And we've had technology around long enough to understand that excessive use of technology is changing the way kids' brains develop. And it affects their learning, their attention, their memory, their socialization, their coping, their sense of body and space and the like. So one concern is to make sure that we are allowing kids to develop in healthy ways while they take advantage of these things that are new to us. The other concern is understanding what counts as excessive screen time. And that's actually a lot less than we might think it is. And I guess we'll get into that a little bit later.
All right. So a lot less. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe something to consider. Ms. Sutton?
As you mentioned, it's a changing world, right? The way that kids communicate, socialize, play games is so different than it was 20 years ago. And it's not as easy as just throw away their phones, right?
How was that close?
Right? We're not going to be able to go backwards now, right? So the big thing is like Dr. Hodgkin says, is how much screen time are they having? Like what is considered excessive and how do we manage that? And then in regards to mental health, the different correlations between different social media platforms and different gaming platforms, increase in anxiety, increase in depression because of some of these things, or I don't want to say because, but very much related to a lot of these things. And so how do we manage that and how do we really examine it?
And I appreciate you guys sharing because I think, and I deliberately shared it because sometimes teachers, coaches, parents, youth workers, different settings, sometimes you see, and I say this with a great respect, not just children or adolescents and teens, adults themselves who are so to facilitate on their devices because they really have in their minds important jobs. Maybe they do have important jobs and they're not seeing that. And there's that frustration with that person. Oh, just put those down. Right.
I was just at a conference last week, and a common statement that we heard throughout the conference was the addiction to checking. So we're all in a group of professionals, international, professionals actually, psychologists and police detectives, and how often people were checking their phone and their email, and the talk of what happened, checking into the night and on the weekends, and even just sitting at the conference, how often it was happening, is it really necessary? What will happen if we don't check? But there's becoming an addiction now just for picking up the phone and looking to see what's going on.
Wow.
Perhaps related to that, a question we've gotten a lot over the last few years is, why are kids struggling so much with coping? Why are they struggling so much with, why are they so badly anxious and depressed now? Why are they struggling with, why is there so much more bullying? Why are they getting upset so easily? Why can't they handle everyday demands the way that we used to, or older than us used to? And I would sometimes try to explain to them that the environment kids are in now is actually very different. It is physically very different in terms of, say, exposure to plastics and things like that. It is socially very different. It is emotionally very different. And the things that you have access to through the internet makes it a very different world for them. But beyond that, now research is helping us understand better why kids are perhaps not developing those emotional and social skills. And one thing to keep in mind is that we are made to develop in a social environment. We are made to have face-to-face contact and nurturing touch, even in infancy. And then as we grow older, that communication that happens so that we can hear tone of voice, body language, facial expression, that sense of personal space, that sense of modulating your emotions in response to what someone else is feeling. All of that happens in face-to-face or close interaction. For kids who are primarily being raised by their media devices, which parents love. Understandably, the kids are quiet. You know where they are. They're well behaved. It might even be called learning. They're still having some social contact with friends, but they are not having these core pieces for development of their coping and social skills. Right. And they are not playing. They are not physically playing in space. They're not having the sense of themselves as part of a 3D space component. They're not learning that give and take. There's so many things that, because their attention is so much on these devices, that they are actually losing out on the learning opportunities their brain needs.
Okay. I'm really, really appreciative for that reason, and hopefully that we're listening and paying attention, because for our children in particular, those devices, we bought them as parents, as gifts. We pay the subscription, the cards, whatever. We facilitate that. Maybe we need to be responsible and perhaps take action, but be informed and involved so that when they're engaged, they're being, in an appropriate way. Now, we probably set up all sorts of, checks and parameters. Well, you can't go on that site, you can't do that. The child may not, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the physical, emotional, and psychological and other impacts that this thing could be negatively having on them. Ms. Sutton?
So there's, again, the need for parameters around, like you said, the parental
those controls
and things like that. But then and how often they can go on the devices. But then there's still the need for, well, what else can they do besides have the screen time? Yes. So what else am I helping cultivate in my children so that they're still being social and still getting that face-to-face social interaction, still learning how to introduce themselves and greet someone without having done it first online, right? Because that brings up anxiety, that social anxiety. We're seeing a lot more social anxiety, difficulty to speak up for themselves in person versus the ease that comes with being behind a screen. Yeah. And when you get used to that comfort and ease, when you go out into the real world, that becomes very difficult. So how do we still have them engage in the outside world to learn these social skills, to learn how to regulate their emotions when they do feel discomfort, nervous, all those kind of things?
So for those of you listening, we want you to call and share your thoughts with us, Dr. Antonia Hawkins, Ms. Sutton Burke, and as we talk about this whole era, as we shared, it's not just about those parameters and parental controls that we're talking about. More importantly, what are the consequences, in fact, in long term, impact on our children, their social development, their, for instance, I was reading and questioning two things. One, is this thing still too early, too young, too much in its infancy for us to really know what consequences it's going to have long term? But we still probably know enough to know the potential increase in eye strain, neck strain, the risk. We're seeing things already, according to our medical community, coming forward that they believe in is a direct correlation between our use of stuff. Physicians say, well, cataracts earlier and perhaps more frequent. Those things, the effect of blue light and the things. Can we talk about those? But we have a caller. Let's take a caller, right? Yeah, Miss Susan said, why not take a caller and a chocolate? Hey, good afternoon. As we go to our phones in the studio, the wonderful company of Dr. Antonia Hawkins and Miss Sutton Burke. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
And good afternoon to you, Jeff. And I don't have no chocolates for you.
That's okay, but thank you for thinking of me.
Yes. I just tried to tell you and I found what your guest was talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
As you know, I deal with kids every morning, every afternoon. But when they were saying in regards to, picking up their phones and looking at it, 5 o'clock here and there, in America calls that cell phone junkies. That's what America call it, cell phone junkies. But I just want to say that when it comes to the bullying of our children here, especially in the Cayman Islands, it is sad to know that we have a 11-year-old child mixed with a 15 and 14 and 16-year-old child in the school system. And those little young ones, like that age, 11 and 12 years of age, they got to do what the bigger guys say to them. You understand? So to me, I really don't like that. But it's not to me to say let's change it because then I'm not part of no government in that sense and form. But when it comes to the cell phones for the children, especially with their parents at home and so forth. If they go to a restaurant or they're at the table at home, everybody got their cell phone and talking on the cell phone, playing games, sending back texts back and forth, eating. The very baby, there's a toddler, is in he or she high chair with a game playing itself too. You understand where I'm coming from? Mm-hmm. So we just make our children these device control our children, and there's no communication in the home. Partly on the school buses and in school. A kid come on the bus and the first thing they do is plug their ears up with the ear plugs and so forth, listen to the music and so forth. And you'd be surprised the things that they be listening to and what they be watching on these phones because some of them has internet. And it's left to the parents to say, you know what, this got to be stopped. It's a time and place for everything. Where is the social life for the family with their children, home or out in public or in school? And on my bus, I have a zero tolerance. They can't use no cell phones on my bus, no earplugs, and no music on my bus. But a lot of other buses make them do as they please. So I'm trying to bring some sort of discipline on my bus. I'm not perfect, and my kids are not perfect, but we're working together because our children is going to hell in a handbasket in this island and all over the world. And if we can save 10 kids a year in the Cayman Islands, we are doing very well.
All right. Well, let's save them more. When we come back, we continue the discussion. Thank that caller for sharing with us, and we can ask more, what we can do, how we can recognize what's happening. So please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Cruise tourism is a vital part of Cayman's economy. It is the government's responsibility to create an environment where our people can have an opportunity to grow and prosper today, tomorrow, and into the future. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that cruise passengers spend $200 million per year buying services from small businesses, tour operators, attractions, restaurants, and retail shops. Those funds stay right here, supporting our economy and communities. Support the pairs. Support our tourism.
Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We invite you to call and share your thoughts with us, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. It truly is an honor to be able to have this discussion with Dr. Antonia Hawkins in the Suttonburg. And yes, our topic sounds like one of those academic papers, young people and mental health in a changing world. What? Screen time and mental health. But when we think about it, are we as parents specifically, are we the ones that should be mindful of this? Because we're buying the devices for the children, we're the ones giving them, or is it, when cars came in and telephones, we were all complaining, but look at it, we're no worse. Is it as simple as that, or is it more complex? Who wants to help me?
Well, I want to say, first of all, that as parents, theoretically, you are in charge. And it's up to you to do what is best to set up a healthy environment for your child. And that includes, for example, helping them figure out the difference between what is a need and what is a want, and what is a privilege and what is a responsibility and a right, and things like that. And if you know your child needs to have not just chocolate, but also fruits and vegetables, you must also know that your child can have some media time, but also needs play and homework and rest. And you are able, as a parent, to not only check with your physicians or other professionals, but also look up some information yourself and find out that there are guidelines about what is healthy for kids at different ages, that these devices can interfere with kids and adults' sleep, and there are guidelines for turning them off at particular times. And it's perfectly okay as a parent to say, no, you don't get on that device as soon as you get home. You've got chores, you've got homework, you've got playtime, and then maybe you've got like a half hour, and then there's some quiet time before bed. Okay. It's part of a healthy routine.
That child who is 10 or under, let's use that, might be able to do that. The child who is still at home and 17 and under, let's just say for argument's sake, could we still do that? No, I have an answer that I would employ if it was me, but there are families who are saying, well, no, I mean, she's a teenage and now she has her friends. He is, part of his whatever it is. Do we still employ those strategies? And then there's another and after that.
I think as a family, you set up the culture for your home. And as a parent, you model what is healthy behavior. And if there's a rule that there are no televisions in bedrooms, there are no televisions in bedrooms, whether you are the parent or you are the teen. If there's a rule that the electronic devices are turned off an hour before bedtime to help with healthy sleep, that is true for the adults as well as the kids, and that makes it easier for the teen to follow.
So lead by example, because many of us, and as parents, we tell the children on all, we mean well, we want the best for the child. And the device, whether it's the TV screen or something else, it's off by 9 or 10 or 11, whatever that time is, right? The child is okay with that. But we're not doing it. We have the news on as we go to bed, or the late night show, or whatever it is that we're watching, or we're getting that last email in for work because come tomorrow morning I need to make sure that the order is processed, the staff is on. We do that because we want to be productive. The providers and all these things. But little Gina is seeing that and going, But beyond that, what are we doing for our own health? Because if it's affecting the sleep pattern of our children, could it be affecting us? Miss Hutt?
Absolutely. I mean, as you spoke, I just thought of what I heard a lot as a child of do as I say and not as I do.
You didn't hear that.
Right? That's what I just heard loudly in my head. And unfortunately, that doesn't work because we do as someone. it's lead by example, right? And so we see our surroundings, we see our environment, our family, our friends, and we're going to follow that. That's going to have an impact on us. It's having an impact on the adults, and we know that because as a mental health practitioner, I hear a lot of sleep complaints. And when I hear about these sleep complaints, the first thing I do is tell me about your cell phone usage. What happens when you wake up in the middle of the night? Would you go reach for your cell phone? When do you turn it off? What are you looking at? What are you watching before you go to bed? And it definitely has an impact. And when you're eating dinner, for example, and is screen time a lot, or screens a lot at the dinner table, and if your children are eating, where are you? Or if maybe you're not at the dinner table, but maybe you're on the couch on your phone, it's having an impact on you that you can't even, a lot of times becomes that addiction of you can't even get off your phone to go sit at the dinner table now. So it's like changing the dynamic in the household.
Well, what do you say to the people now who say, well, this is the modern era? I mean, some of us, and I only use the U.S. as an example because maybe some of us are more exposed to it. But we remember when television came in the U.S. and they had TV dinners and, the picture was the perfect family gathered around this, my friend called it the one-eye monster. And everybody watched it, right? The idiot box of some sort. That has transformed into this thing now where the ability to watch is no longer fixed to the wall. It's in the palm of our hands. Everybody in the household, even the pets, I think, have a screen. Everybody has this thing. So to that family, for instance, you're saying about it, try to eat together. Well, eat together, I mean, in the microwave and out the car, and here we go. So we don't do that.
Now with technology at your fingertips, you have the advantage of being an informed consumer. And you know that everything, I used to have a professor that said there's a trade-off to everything. There's a good side and there's a bad side to just about everything. So if you know that having family dinners, I can't remember what the research shows, I think it's even just 2 to 3 times a week, decreases school dropout, increases school performance, decreases, kids' mental health issues, increases their socialization skills or whatever. You may choose not to do that, but you certainly can't say that it's not important to do it. Okay. And the same with these devices. When they first come out, we don't have any idea what the effect is, but over time, people do look at that, and we learn more information. And as a parent, what do I do that is healthy for my child? What do I do for myself that models being healthy? And going back to taking away the devices at bedtime for teenagers, several years ago, this was an issue. I don't know if you all remember when you had like these adult men that were targeting young teen girls, and the contacts were being made at night via cell phone when the parents were asleep and they thought their kids were asleep. And nowadays it's teens communicating with teens at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And so why are they irritable at school? Why are they not paying attention at school? Why are they not getting their work done? It's because they're not sleeping because they're on their cell phone. All right.
A simple, rule and boundary that a lot of the parents that I've worked with have come up with is, there's a basket, and when it's, the hour before bed, we all put our phones in the basket. Basket goes in the parents' room. Some parents, I think, have tried to put the basket in the kitchen where it's a neutral zone. Their phones are charging. And then, unfortunately, that rule wasn't always followed. So the basket goes in parents' room, and that's it. And they get their phones in the morning after they're ready, for school and have been productive.
So as a parent, active, informed, engaged parent, doing a responsible thing, but leading by example. All right. When we come back from our news break, could we ask what some of the research is potentially saying with respect to how it's affecting our sleep, maybe how it's affecting our social development, maybe our physical or mental and all the other things? Could we ask some of those things? All right. And you want the answers? Hey, we got the professionals here. I mean, at $2 an hour, this kid. It's pretty expensive. It's good stuff, though. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Please join us after the news break. We'll continue to share with you because, ladies, I'm very, very grateful for you taking time to share with us. And hopefully, as parents, we will benefit even greatly. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
Get ready for more roadworks. The NRA will be closing the westbound lane of Crew Road at the Silver Oaks roundabout on Wednesday. That's tomorrow at 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. to help facilitate roadworks between Navis Close and Silver Oaks. All motorists should use the Linford-Pearson Highway. Traffic signs will be posted in the general vicinity of the work areas, and motorists are asked to drive with caution and obey all instructions from staff on the ground. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Hurricane Michael has strengthened to a Category 2 storm with winds topping 100 miles per hour as it turns towards the Florida coast. The storm is expected to reach Category 3 before making landfall tomorrow. Florida Governor Rick Scott has warned residents to evacuate. Alabama, Florida, and Georgia have declared states of emergency in all or parts of the states. At least 13 people have reportedly died in Central America due to the storm. A rare white tiger has mauled a zookeeper to death in its enclosure at a zoo in Japan. The 40-year-old man was found bleeding from the neck in the tiger's cage at the zoo in the southern city of Kagoshima. He was taken to hospital and pronounced dead. The male tiger was sedated with a tranquilizer before rescue workers and police arrived. It is to be kept alive following a request from the victim's family. And Kanye West is to meet U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday, the White House has confirmed. The two men are expected to discuss prison reform, gang violence, and manufacturing resurgence in the U.S. The meeting will take place less than 4 weeks before the midterm elections in November. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to the Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And Dr. Antonia Hawkins and Ms. Sutton Burke are our guests. And hopefully as parents in particular, listening, that they see that this applies to us as parents for our own mental health, and hopefully by example that we can set for our children. We do so much for them. Why not, invest in a little extra time, get a little bit more knowledgeable, and appreciate that there could be some negative consequences to the amount of time that we're staring at our screens and how it affects our sleep and the like. Because presumably it's causing us to be restless. I mean, I'm dreaming about computer screens coming through there. No. Is it affecting us? Is that an established, accepted medical fact that we talk about blue light and we see how it affects the circadian rhythm and all the different things?
Any sleep doctor you go to are going to set restrictions on the use of devices, and they will say, yes, there are blue light filters, but they would rather you not use the device at all. Before they used to say that the Kindle e-reader had a different light source, and so maybe you could use that. But now if you're really having sleep problems, they'll say, no ebooks, go straight to your paper book. Okay? And they might have said before to turn off things 30 to 60 minutes before bed, and now if you're having sleep disturbance, they'll say 2 to 3 hours before bed. So I don't know that they know what exactly the right amount is yet, but they're certainly seeing enough of a relationship to consider it a cause for concern and to set up medical recommendations for that.
So many studies support the before turning off before 1 hour all screen time.
At least an hour. I mean, we talk about proper sleep hygiene. We've known, but don't have that third cup of coffee before bed and expect that espresso is not going to keep you baked. But the sweet seat, there's so many things that we do. Now this is just one other thing in order not to disrupt her sleep.
One other interesting thing I saw, and this was something I heard at a talk earlier this year, and they were talking about the way the videos are made. And I don't know if you remember when we were growing up and they would show you how they make cartoons by doing all those separate little drawings and then flipping the pages. So this person said that oftentimes the games that we're playing are produced exactly like that. And so for the children, even though they're visually seeing it as a story playing out smoothly, their brain is processing page by page by page by page by page by page. It's processing very rapidly, which then makes it difficult for the brain to manage more quiet stimulation as well. So even if you're not necessarily watching a war game or a war movie or something like that, or if you're not, doing some virtual reality skateboarding trick or something, you're still getting a level of stimulation that your brain needs time to quiet down from before bed.
If I, want to confess, the brain fascinates me. That's the one thing that I thought if I would go back to study, I would love to study and just to read about how the brain functions and the stuff it does and the way it does its stuff. It's amazing what it, how important it is. Some of us can function with a heart, but with a brain probably be a little bit more challenging. My concern, and it's not necessarily a discussion that I would access now, because I'm not by any means knowledgeable sufficiently to have it, is what are we doing in our lives that affect our brains? The sweets that we eat, the lack of exercise, the lack of sleep that we're getting, the amount of television or screens that we're, looking at. How potential is that affecting us, when we age 1 and when we age 101?
So much research is showing just how much all of those things are affecting us. Last month was Alzheimer Awareness Month, and we did a talk where we talked a lot about prevention, and it was all on things that we can do to keep our brain healthy. Limiting our screen time, making sleep is imperative, because without getting really good sleep, it has a very, very negative impact on our body and our brain in particular. Keeping our brain active by learning new things, and by learning new things that, we can touch and feel and, be in that 3D world, as Dr. Hawkins was saying. So many of those, taking those things away really negatively impact our brain.
And some of the things that were coming out as well is for all of us, these devices are like shortcuts. So we don't have to remember and problem solve and plan. And what is happening for the kids as their brain is developing is the brain is somehow able to skip. The front area of your brain is the one that still takes the longest to develop. It develops into your early 20s, which is one of the reasons why car insurance is higher until you're 25. So the planning and problem solving and self-monitoring and self-regulating and impulse control. But if you don't have to use those, if you don't have to develop those areas and strengthen those areas, because you are able to use a shortcut of just looking it up on the internet, then you can understand why kids are having a lot of problems with impulse control and managing their emotions.
Okay. Dr. Antonia Hawkins and Ms. Sutton Barker, I guess, as I look at, forgive me, multiple screens here, I've got 2 that I can take with me, one that's supposed to leave. One of them sends through a WhatsApp. For those who are listening, hey, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255.
Right. They're designed to be engaging. They're designed to activate that sense of excitement and desire and hope and even competitiveness. Okay. The other thing is a lot of these things actually, whether accidentally or directly, trigger your threat response. So you are going to be more alert. You are going to be more on edge. You are going to be more into that fight, flight type situation. And as we are also learning from other research, that constant state of being under stress is really harmful for your bodies over the long term. And when you are kids and you are facing, whether it's adverse stressful events like abuse or whatever, but also in that chronic stress situation, it has long-term implications for your health as adults, both physical health and mental health. So yes, there is more agitation, which is one of the reasons we don't like to do it before bed. And some people will say, but that makes me sleepy. Actually, what it does is your brain just gets so overstimulated till it just gives up and conks out. Okay.
Yeah. I was reading something some months back, and I was trying to find it before. I remember, but it said, see if you had it on your phone, you had flagged it, you'll be right there. But this was talking about the rewriting of algorithms on our phones, and they were talking about how before you used to scroll a certain way, I think it was sideways, and now you're scrolling down, it's constant. And the idea is to make it more addictive and more engaging. And they're now researching that the brain looks at things a certain way, so they're using this technology to engage us more, to make us more addictive to it. So they're understanding how to manipulate that to keep us as thing. Sutton, what do you think?
Of course they are, because they want to sell more phones and they want you to buy their app and buy the extra things that you need for their games. Of course they're doing that. That's super smart. That's great business for them. Unfortunately, on the consumer and on all of us, it has that negative impact, and it's working.
Wow. So they also did that for chips and for sodas. And the policing of that, the self-discipline of that comes from self, right? And it's the same with these games. But as parents, you have to do it not only for yourself but for your kids as well.
We have to self-regulate. And you use the example of your, whoever just messaged you, friend or.
I don't think he would call me his friend.
Okay. so as an adult, so I would be curious what he's looking at when he goes and checks. Are we looking at our email and then we're supposed to be on break, but yet now we're looking at work things, or we're.
Would that be okay to ask him? I can respond and ask him. What are you looking at? Listen, if you okay.
I mean, statistics on teenagers is that teenagers spend 9 hours a day checking social media.
How?
9 hours a day.
Wow.
And do you want to know what the healthy limit is recommended?
No.
2.
9 hours a day, and health is 2.
Yeah.
So
for teenagers.
For teenagers.
For kids under 2, it's none.
So
it's,
from 11 to 12 teen. Okay. Okay, so sorry, Miss.
So 9 hours a day if they're checking social media, and we've seen that in the last 25 years, anxiety and depression are increasing, and some people link that to social media, but there's such a correlation between, as social media increases, so does being unhappy, because it causes us to start comparing ourselves to others, having unrealistic expectations for ourselves. So many studies, I don't know where I have it here, but, how much on social media is embellished. 68% of users admit to exaggerating or embellishing or flat out lying in their posts. So half of these also reported feeling bad about themselves because they don't feel like they can live up to their online image.
I mean, the first thing you read, I was thinking, that's not even an election. Yeah, a politician's campaign. Wow.
Yeah, and there's some research saying that technology actually inhibits the emotional development of kids, and that teens who spent more time on screens in the form of social media, internet, texting, and gaming thought about suicide a lot more than kids who didn't, while kids who spent more time doing sports, homework, socializing with friends in real life, and going to church had a lower risk for both depression and suicide.
All right. Wow.
Yeah. And what's happening, too, is when these kids have their entertainment put on a plate for them, they are not developing creativity and imagination. It's kind of the difference between reading a book and watching a movie. Your brain works very differently in those two things. Yeah. So when this child says to you, well, I don't know what to do if you take my phone away, they mean it. They don't know what to do. So one of the things is, when your family is developing a plan for be more healthy with your media, you're going to have to help your kids figure out some things to do instead. And a lot of that is going to involve some face-to-face time with your kids, as well as, creating lists that they don't have to come to you every time they're bored. They can go check their list.
What to do when I'm bored is a great list.
And if they come to you, they get a chore. But you may have to help them more than you think they need to take care of themselves, because they have not developed that skill.
And I think that it's important to note that sometimes that might be an inconvenience on you, because you might want to, have some relaxation time of yourself or do something else. But that's part of, parenting in 2018, right? And we can even do something with our kids that we might enjoy as well. If we can help create that boredom list with them as a team, then maybe some of the things we would like to do with the children would be on that list as well.
There you go. And I'm thinking too, some of us will, the child leaves one screen, whatever that is, and then picks up another screen, maybe because of the battery or because you said, hey, no, but that's still a screen. You're going from one screen to the next, right? And as I said, that, and hopefully that doesn't insult or embarrass anyone, but maybe it causes us to think. When we come back from this break, I'm trusting that people listening will see that we are responsible, we have to be accountable. Can we talk more about how we can improve that, what we can do? And again, to ask potentially, what are some of the consequences later on? But equally, what are some of the known consequences that we may not have touched on? Dr. Antonia Hawkins and Ms. Sutton Burke are our guests. Really appreciate their time, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
We need to talk. Okay. We've noticed you've been going to KFC a lot more than usual lately.
And that's fine. We know you love it.
We just don't understand how you can afford it.
The KFC What a Deal menu, starting at just $3.50, gives you lots of great choices and value. Available at KFC Baytown Plaza, Shudden Road, and in the Strand. The KFC What a Deal value menu, the deal everyone should know about. Come to KFC and enjoy a variety of tasty choices at surprising prices. KFC, so good.
Rotary Central Music Extravaganza is back. Be a winner this November with your Rotary Central Music Extravaganza ticket purchase of only $25. Win that grand prize of $40,000 CI dollars. Second prize $4,000. 6 $1,000 prizes and much more. Yes, the 23rd Annual Music Extravaganza, Saturday, November 24th, Royal Palms, West Bay Road from 7 p.m. Featuring music by Dr. Bob's Experiment, Fire Squad, and Altered Minds. Only 8,000 golden tickets now on sale through Rotary Central members and Rotary ticket sellers. Rotary Central Music Extravaganza proceeds fund over 50 community inspiration projects. You can be a winner. Your ticket, your chance, your community. Rotary Central Music Extravaganza is back.
The NCVO needs your help. Tune in to the annual radio telethon on Saturday, October 20th at 7 p.m. for the best in local entertainment, including C&B, Trinity, Little Magic, Roy Bodden, and High Tide. Call in to pledge any amount or donate online at CaymanGiftCertificates.com to be entered to win over $5,000 worth of prizes. The NCVO's annual radio telethon is broadcasted live from Prospect Playhouse on Radio Cayman and Cayman 27. The NCVO is one of Cayman's oldest charities dedicated to the care, education, and well-being of children and families in need of support. Tune in to Radio Cayman and please help us help our children. The annual Radio Telethon, Saturday, October 20th, 7 p.m. to midnight, live from Prospect Playhouse.
Cruise tourism is a vital part of Cayman's economy. It is the government's responsibility to create an environment where our people can have an opportunity to grow and prosper today, tomorrow, and into the future. It is a myth that Cayman does not need cruise tourism. It is a fact that cruise passengers spend $200 million per year buying services from small businesses, tour operators, attractions, restaurants, and retail shops. Those funds stay right here, supporting our economy and communities. Support the pairs. Support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today, and thanks for listening, but equally a special thanks to all our guests, and today the wonderful company of both Miss Sutton Burke and Dr. Antonio Hawkins. And the idea that we're talking about, our youth, and this notion that the more we look at technology and the ways leverage, yes, it's beneficial, useful, cost-effective. It can be, in many cases, that thing that causes us to be more productive. But the concern then, what is it doing for us long term? Is it really affecting our ability to socialize, to have meaningful relationships? I mean, some of us have friends, 5,000 followers. Back in my day, that sort of followers probably, stalkers. But anyways, but we talk about following and tweeting, and there's a new world out there. What does that mean for us? Do we know?
I mean, it can mean so many different things, and I would say to those people who have the 5,000 followers or who are gaming and doing a lot of social interaction online, how often are they doing it? How much time are they spending on it? And then what is their life like away from the games, away from, interacting and communicating on social media? Do they still have that ability in person? Are they still hanging out with their friends on the weekends? Okay. It's a completely different kind of socialization when it's just, they have their headset on. But there's lots of kids who have the headset on, who play games, and then they go play soccer and they're interacting. They have a play date, and if we still see that, I see that as a happy, healthy balance compared to many children who only have the device as the social outlet. And when we see that, and when it's hours, 2-3 hours a day, or I hear a lot 2 hours during the week, and 4 hours or 6 hours or 8 hours during the day on a Saturday or a Sunday, then we see those social skills become limited, and they don't want to be talking face to face, or it's a very different kind of communication. It's sitting next to each other. It almost goes back to toddler parallel play. What we're noticing in older children. Okay,
a parent wrote in saying that her child is, she put in quotation marks, more sociable now. Child's playing games online with multiple friends. Some who are just across the street, down the road, and like classmates and stuff. And he interacts with them more online with the gaming. So obviously he's socializing. I paraphrase and look at what she's typed. Is that a concern? I mean, he's not out playing the physical sport, but he's comfortably, safely at home, seated in his favorite chair. She can keep her eye on him, and he's talking to his classmates and other friends.
I would say a good test for that would be to ask the teachers how he socializes in school. When you go to church on Sunday, Saturday, when you go to the grocery store and you run into a friend, what is the social interaction like? And if it's been helpful to him, then maybe he will be able to look someone in the eye and greet them, say hello with ease, interact with other kids when they are in the real world. Then I would say, yeah, it's helpful. And I'm sure you could say maybe the child might have an increased self-esteem or perceived increased self-esteem because maybe before there was no social interactions and now there's gaming, and now maybe he feels part of something, which is what happens a lot of times now on the internet in these different groups and games where they feel part of another group, which certainly has its benefits. But the test would be what happens when, you're at the grocery store, or you run into someone or you're put into a situation where in the real world, because we can't avoid it, even if you have a job that, keeps you can work from your computer, you're going to have to interact. You're going to have to order a coffee at Paperman's or cash out at Foster's or Kirk's, right?
So with that, do we have then this online facade persona that is different and separate apart from that interaction? So I've called you up, Miss Sutton, and say, hey, can we discuss this thing? Let's meet over at the tea shop and the tea house and have a sit down, or come over to the boardroom. Now we could do that online, behind the screens, and safer, perhaps less threatening, in person. So there's a difference between those two engagements.
150%. Yeah.
I don't do sarcasm, but there's a difference.
150%. And some people who have and what I always say is that the worst thing that we can do for anxiety, or that icky feeling you get, or the nervousness, the worst thing you can do with that is avoid that. Okay. And so what most people want to do is avoid it, which would be that going to the board meeting, or really what the best example I think of this is, public speaking, doing a presentation. No one wants to do that. So they'd rather do it online, or send the email, or, send the text, or whatever it might be, to avoid that discomfort that's actually really healthy to have that feeling and to, work through it. So 150%, but as long as they're not that could be done sometimes, and that's okay, but are you still getting the face-to-face in other ways?
Okay. So
what do you say, Dr. Hodgkins, about that?
I would absolutely agree. The advantages of the gaming are ways of practicing socialization in safe ways. So you're limiting the eye contact. You have a focused topic, those sorts of things, or you're using it as an addition to other social contact. But if it is your only social contact and you're not able to translate that into everyday life interactions, then it's still not being much of a benefit to you. And something I tell kids about in terms of the follows and the likes and things like that is that there are different levels of relationship. You can have acquaintances, you can have, hobby buddies, you can have, long-term friends, and you can have the person that you go to and you say, I can't take it anymore. So how many of those 5,000 people are the people that will be there for you when you're not all sparkly?
So as we close to the parents and for themselves and for the children and for those adolescents, those teens in particular, as they're looking at how much time they're engaged with their devices, what's the takeaway? What do we say to them that makes their lives better, they're more responsible and healthier going forward? What do we say?
I would say that we want people, whether teens or adults, to have a full, rich, healthy, abundant life. And some of that comes with moderation, having a little bit of lots of good things. And some of that comes with being an informed person who understands where healthy boundaries lie and makes good choices. You still have fun, but you're healthy enough to enjoy your fun a lot longer.
Yeah, there you go. Sutton?
I think that was very well said. Being informed and then being able to set boundaries for yourself and for your loved ones around you.
Yeah, I think as adults, maybe we need to realize that we indeed set the example, lead by example, and we probably don't realize ourselves the things that we're doing. So maybe take stock.
I think the question really, when we have children as well, is how do these things impact us? Like, how can, and being honest with ourselves, how does the phone really impact me? How does sitting and looking at my phone or gaming or checking my email or whatever, being on social media, how is that really affecting me? Mm-hmm. And then if we can be honest with ourselves, then we can kind of think about, well, how might it be affecting my child as well, and what can we do together to work on it?
And don't mistake that sense of urgency for important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, urgency and importance not necessarily the same.
Not necessarily the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, a friend a long time ago shared. He said, you get an email. Some of us can still remember when it first came out, and you get it. You will immediately expect it to respond. Right? It's there. You just press a button and you make a reply. Well, maybe think about it. Go back to the days when either you yourself or your parents used to talk about. You wrote a letter, you put it in the post. It took, a long time to get where it went. It was received, opened, recorded, responded to, posted, and then you got it back. 2 months later. There was time to think.
And the world still went around, right?
The world still went
around. When you got a phone call, if you weren't home or in the office, you didn't take the call.
She didn't take the call?
Didn't take the call. Call went to voicemail.
All right, what was this guy that sent me? And I asked him a question, right? I'll be close out. But I see if I can read this up here because, like so many of us, I've got screens that don't work, right? But he was talking about what was the world like so long ago when things were different back then versus now. He's talking about sort of back then, we didn't have all these things, no access to technology and airplanes, internet, and the like, and comparing that to today, where there's no praise and compassion, honor, and respect, and character and modesty and the like. But he said, back then, they were playing and riding their bicycles, and they didn't have to worry about some of the things, and they had real friends, not just those who were online and the like. So maybe some of these things that are passed around, maybe we can take it to heart and reflect on it and see how important it is. And as parents, be a little bit more engaged and responsible and lead by example. Ms. Sutton, thank you so much. And Dr. Anthony Hawkins, equal as well. So hopefully the parents will become more engaged, no? All right. Hey, to our listeners, thank you for sharing with us. Please understand the importance of technology, but use it as a tool, and certainly don't let it be the teacher. And let us be in control as best as we can. Come back tomorrow. Join me, start at Corner in the Morning for the record. And rejoin us talk today right after the midday news. We'll be talking about a number of things. We'll have a quick discussion with our friends from the Civil Service Association. We'll also get the chance to talk to HMCI, but also the Attorney General. Hopefully join us as we talk about the new data protection legislation. Hey, that's tomorrow. You can imagine what today will be like. But until then, be blessed.
shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.